Okay. Okay, we are live. We are live. We are live. We are live. We've got some people in the chat. What's up, guys? How you guys doing? Hope you guys are doing great this evening, this morning, wherever you're joining from. Let me know in the comment section below if you can hear me or not, and make sure everything's working properly. All right. Starting to get some people trickling in. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me all right. Today is going to be an exciting episode of, not episode, I guess, live stream. This live stream right here is special because we're going to go over the Maisto catalog. So I will, at the beginning here, just give some thoughts about Maisto, my thoughts about it, Maisto overall. And then we'll go through the catalog together, see my live reactions. I have not looked at this catalog at all. And then, a little bit later, after that, we're going to talk maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes about the Matchbox movie that got announced. So I want to talk about that a little bit as well. So we got quite a few topics here to talk about. What is up? What is up? CZ, how you doing? Hope you're doing great this morning. Hope everything is looking good in Malaysia right now. So yeah, we're going to talk about the Matchbox movie a little bit because that was some big news. I feel like that was dropped this week, and I haven't heard as much discourse in the diecast community about this movie than I would have expected. And then maybe today also we do a here at the end, maybe we do a little live opening. How about that? I've had this package here in the mail for like, I mean not in the mail, but like sealed for like weeks now. And like I've been meaning to like film a Let's Open on this, but like I'm kind of like, well, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to make one on Let's Open. So I guess I can go ahead and get started and talk about my overall thoughts about Maisto and why this is exciting to me. So what is up, Hot Wheels historian? What is up? So Maisto, my thoughts. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, I guess I'll say that a little bit later when there's maybe some more people in here. So Maisto is such an interesting brand to me because they make some very high premium stuff in higher scales, and they make some of the lowest quality stuff in the smaller scales. Like I don't think there's like a disparity in terms of your quality difference within one brand. I feel like the quality in Maisto, again, you have stuff that's like world class and you have stuff that's like absolute trash. And if I was working in diecast and I could pick one brand to take over to be the creative director for, this would be the one. This would be the one, especially in the 1/64 scale. Because what I like about Maisto is that they actually are a brand that I feel like does take risks and does think outside the box, but they think sometimes maybe too outside the box, right? And they don't focus on the things that they maybe need to focus on. And they don't market the way that I feel like they should market. And they don't present their products the way I feel like they should present them. So they're a very flawed brand. So this catalog right here, they don't do like with Matchbox and Hot Wheels like a live presentation on all their products, at least not that I know of. So this is really the way to do it. So for the big diecast brands, in terms of big reveals, you have like 2 or 3 Hot Wheels presentations throughout the year. You have the one Matchbox Gathering of Friends presentation in the summer. And then you have this, which is this catalog here, this 2026 catalog, it's not even on the Maisto site yet. It's on like a diecast site, I guess, that got the Maisto catalog sent to them, and then they posted it. So I'm like, all right, well, we got to go ahead and let's go ahead and look through this. So we're gonna go through here. I'm gonna skim over a lot of the higher scale stuff. I don't really, know too much about what they're doing on the higher scale. But once we get to the 164 section, once we get to the track sets that are going to be in here as well, and hopefully there's some interesting things that we see throughout the catalog. We'll see. But this is Maisto's impression. This catalog right here, eventually when it goes on the site, this is going to be what they're offering for the whole year. So let's go ahead and get into this. And first of all, very interesting here, we got a Red Bull dirt bike, believe it or not, as the cover. And then we have a Rivian. We have a Rivian as the second car. So I don't know if either of these have ever existed for Matchbox. I mean, not Matchbox, Maisto in the past. But I guess, if you guys know about Maisto in the chat, let me know. All right. It's a pretty big and long catalog, but again, we'll just kind of run through a lot of this stuff here. So 1/18 scale, I know that's something that they're very known for and such. They have a lot of very good detail for a good price point, I believe, here. So it looks like they have some oldie but goodies to start out with. And then they do point out here what the new models are. So they're going to have a 1/18 scale Buick Grand National, is interesting. 57 Bel Air. I'm surprised they didn't have one of those before. And then it looks like a bunch of cars that they've already had in the past. I'm not somebody who collects 1/18 scale. That's just like way, way, way too big. I don't like bigger scales to begin with, but 1/18 scale is like too much. I think I might have. I think the Dior too I have is 1/18 scale, and that's about it. I don't really own that. I think 124 is usually kind of where I kind of set my limit, if that. You got this page right here. I don't know if there's anything that really sticks out to me. I'd wonder if any of these Broncos maybe have a door that a roof that comes off. Again, nothing too crazy here. Yeah, there's the Rivian. So I guess the Rivian is one of the things that they're diving into. And I don't believe they had the Rivian license before. So this is a new license for them. These other ones, they seem kind of familiar. Going into the 124 scale, doesn't look like anything too crazy. They're just kind of just going on with what they had. Interesting, though, to see, one thing to note is that you look at, they have the Bugatti license here, for example, and I have never seen the Bugatti Maisto in the 164. They've never done that. So I don't know if they have agreements where they just stick to certain scales, and they don't, some of these brands don't allow them to do, put their product in 164. I wonder if that's a real thing. I don't know. These the square body truck right here, these Chevy 454s, man, these things have been selling like hotcakes. Any of these square body trucks, I feel like if I was a diecast brand and I was gonna make licensed stuff, I'd be getting all in that square body truck game, because that is really hot, popular stuff right now. Okay, nothing too crazy here. Interesting to see some square body. What's up, Freeze Flame? How you doing? Interesting to see some Fox body Mustangs here. Again, though, nothing that really. There's a new Lamborghini Urus here, but nothing that really, captures my attention too much. It's cool that they have a Toyota A86. I like the Hilux. That's cool. I like the Golf R32. That's neat. So there's some cool stuff, but I don't think anything that really blows me away. Okay, here we go. We're already starting to get into the 164. So this is the 164 Speed Icon. So they had the Ferrari license, right? Because Maisto's owned by Burago, and Burago had Ferrari. That was actually the reason that Ferrari was no longer with Hot Wheels in the first place. And I feel like they never really utilized the Ferrari license as much as they really could have. I don't know if that, again, I know Ferrari is probably the biggest pain in the ass manufacturer to deal with, in terms of they really have to have things the way that they want them. But I never really thought they were able to get that exclusive partnership the most out of it. In fact, Tomica was making Ferraris a few years into that exclusive license that they had. So interesting to see here that they are now deciding to go ahead and get more into these Ferraris in the 1/64 scale. These, I've seen these before. So these cars, you can find them in Target. You can find them just at some, at your regular store that you get diecast. They're about the price of a Hot Wheels Premium. They have a moving part usually, and I would say the scale of them are pretty decent. They have rubber tires. They're nice. They're decent looking, right? I am really interested to see how they execute the Ferrari F40. I feel like the Ferrari F40 has become a casting that different brands are going to be battling each other in terms of how they can execute it at different price points. So how can Maisto get a good F40? I think that's going to be really, really key for them to do that. And also the Ferrari F80, correct me if I'm wrong, maybe there has been another brand that has done the Ferrari F80, but I don't know about that. Like, I've never heard of that. So that is going to be an interesting casting to finally see in the 1/64 scale. And I felt like this would have been a casting that Hot Wheels should have done maybe in the first or at least the second year, and that hasn't happened yet. So that will be interesting to see. It looks like we got some more cars, so they are definitely expanding this line. You got the Countach coming in. Wow, very Italian heavy, isn't it? And then the Lamborghini Temerario. I guess that's the replacement of the Huracan, and that's in that line, right? Gallardo, Huracan. Now you have this one that's like the budget Lamborghini. Going into the Maisto design, this is like, I think more like this 1/24 scale stuff is more like to scale, and this stuff is, I think, a little bit more tuned, if I'm not mistaken. That's cool that they have lowriders. Lowriders is another one. I feel like that's a good thing to kind of double down on a little bit here, because I think that there is definitely some desire to see more of that. So that's a smart choice. But stuff like this, I don't think is actually. I think these off-road vehicles, I don't think I would do that. And then the Tokyo mode. So this is, I get some tuners, and then you have the GR Super Liberty Walk. That's interesting. I don't know. Also, that might be a first as well. Has Maisto ever done Liberty Walk stuff before? I definitely haven't seen it in the 1/64 scale line, but dipping their toes into that for the first time. I think it's a little bit late to the party, to be honest. I feel like that Liberty Walk hype is not quite what it was when Hot Wheels was first doing it and Mini GT was doing it. I think it's died down a smidge, so they're probably about 2 years late to the party, but hey, we'll see. And I agree, CZ. The Celica does look pretty cool here. The design team haulers. Now, this is something that I feel like they could really exploit a bit more than they are. There's definitely some issues with these. Like, I think the tow hook on a lot of these cars looks really awkward. But when I look at these castings, I mean, there's some pretty cool ones right here. Look at this Chevy, the one new one we have, the Chevy 1500. I mean, that right there, I feel like this is going to sell really good. It's a lowrider with a square body truck with a trailer, and they kept to kind of the theme here. I think that one's going to sell really good. And I think that's probably the way they should be looking. I don't think people care about something like a Chevy K5 Blazer. I feel like that is something that's going to hang on the pegs. But something like this will actually, I think, sell really, really well. So that was a good choice. And you got a 59 Impala with it. Let's see here. Okay, so they've... Oh, interesting. So they have Michelin and Goodrich licensing now. That's interesting. I don't know if that one will sell too well, but the Michelin... Okay, Michelin, that's a really, really good license to get, because that's not one that's really exploited by the other diecast brands. So that's a good one to get, but I think that the models that they chose kind of let it down a little bit. Oh, and it looks like there's one more here as well. I need to zoom in on that. I don't know what is this? Eurotune, it's called Eurotune. So Eurotune, you got a 190E and you got a Benz. I think that's a great combo. I wouldn't have put it in this color though. So interesting. So they've picked up some licenses that actually the other brands haven't gotten. And that's good because Maisto, they need stuff that kind of makes them stick out, and this would be some stuff that can do that. I don't think that this is the best executed. For something like Michelin, I would have put something like this in Michelin instead. You know, do something that people actually care a bit more about. I feel like they don't really care too much about this. Going to 164 scale design and toe. This is not a new series, but look at some of these, man. Look at this 454. That is cool. Look at this Chevy 1500. These are going to sell really, really good. So smart for them to double down on that. Another Michelin as well. This one right now, here's what's interesting about Maisto. So Maisto, they keep stuff in their main line like all for a number of years. So this like Benz G-Class has been out for years. Like I had this in my collection at one point in time, and I think I got this trailer with the G-Wagon. I think I got that in the 2010s. So it's been around that long. So you just don't see that rotation. They kind of just make something and it stays in their line for years. And I feel like for them, I know it's difficult to like, you know, maybe they don't have like a large design team that can really pump out new designs, but maybe for them having a level of rarity would be good. Like just recoloring things and making different versions of them. Which you could do, honestly, even you took something like this and you just change the color. You could keep the exact same design, just change the color. Like just literally go on paint and just switch the color. I think that would help a lot. Next up, they have the Elite Transport. And I think the Elite Transport, if I'm not mistaken, kind of came out around the same time as Hot Wheels Team Transport did. But this thing does not have, you know, any level of the hype that Hot Wheels does on this front. I do think this one's cheaper though, at least. So nothing too crazy that we're seeing here. I really like this. I think this is great. This pink Chevy flatbed with the Impala. I think that's something that's really unique and different. So that's smart. Ooh, look at that. Mac B61 tow truck. And this is also in a Michelin deco. So, okay, interesting. So they've had these castings, as you can see, already. And yet, they decide to just do one new color of it. Why don't you just refresh all the colors? I don't understand. Why wouldn't you just refresh all the colors? And you can go ahead and you can have a whole new line. So if you guys are keeping notes here, that's the first thing I'd change already. Recolors. And again, it could just be simple. You can take the same designs and just recolor them. Matchbox does that all the time, where they just take the basic first release and they just change the color to it. You don't need to have somebody who's constantly sketching out new designs for these cars all the time. So this right here, I think that's a big miss. Because it makes the brand feel stagnant. It makes the product feel stagnant. And look, I don't want Maisto in 2026 to feel like what it felt like in 2015 or 2018. It needs to feel different. That's not it's gonna make people think that you're kind of stuck in the past. You need to kind of bring the brand forward. You need to change the brand, especially with these guys. If you're trying to compete with Mattel, you need to really refresh it. You need to make it different. You need to make yourself look unique. And these are some unique products here, but you need to do something different on a year-to-year basis that makes you stand out and makes people care more about what you got going on year to year, because I shouldn't be the only one here who cares what the hell you're doing in your catalog. This should be a bigger deal. And also, you should be marketing your catalog more. It shouldn't be some random site that just happens to get your catalog and then they release it. You got to do better on the marketing front. Okay, looking at these haulers, excellent. Really good here. Great job on the Michelin. Great job on the Goodrich. Spotlight that new licensing deal that you got. Put it out there. And this is a great canvas. Fantastic canvas. I like this one a lot. I think this Michelin is going to sell really good. Goodrich, I think, will sell well as well. Good stuff. Good stuff. Hobby transporters. Again, look at this. No new transporters. And I know for a fact, because I do some work with Super Mini Wheels on TikTok, helping that hobby shop sell some products. I know for a fact that Chevy 454 sells really good. I know for a fact that 1988 BMW M3 series sells really good. So there's some stuff here that has some legs, but you have to refresh it. You have to get more versions. You have to make people come back and buy again. And that's not what's going to go on here. Really, all you're doing is you're just letting the people who hadn't received something buy it, but that number is not as high as you think, especially when it's a brand like Maisto. There's not as big of a customer market as you think. You need to build up the catalogs of collectors for them. So recolor these things. Make these things a little bit more elusive. I'm not saying they should sell like a super treasure hunt and just fly out the pegs. That's not the point. The point is that you should at least refresh it once a year. It doesn't have to be hard to obtain. Just give it a time period of when the product is actually available. Okay? I would rather them would be better for them is maybe get rid of 2 of these. Maybe only have 4 of them if it's that difficult to keep up with it. So that's that. The custom rigs, I've never seen these before. But it's cool that you got 1/64 scale custom rigs. I don't really have much to say about those. 1/64 Maisto packs. Okay, so I've seen these. I saw the majorette ones. I haven't seen, I think, a Maisto one before in person. Yeah, it says it's new. So it's a new concept. Maisto 5-pack. These are premium, they're mid-range stuff. And they're going to be in 5-packs. And these trucks here, do they look familiar to you? These cars and these trucks? Yeah, they do. They look like just the cars and trucks that were in some of the stuff we were just previously looking at. Why would we do this? Do they have such a backlog in their factories that they have to make stuff like this? I don't know. I feel like this is completely unnecessary. I don't like that. And these packs, this to me makes me think that they aren't looking at what's going on in the aisles. Diecast brands need to send their reps to the aisles some more. They need to go to the Targets and the Walmarts and all the stores and see what's selling and what's not selling. Because Majorette got into this stuff. And Majorette has had these 5-packs sitting. Hot Wheels, the 3-packs with the team transport vehicle, with the transporter, those multi-packs, those have been sitting. Those have sold significantly worse than when they first came out. So I don't think this is a game that I'd want to get into if I were them. Maybe it's an easy product to put together, but I'm not. I am not into this. I'm not into this. Are Maisto Premium expensive? These, I believe, are kind of in the these sets, I think you can get one of these for correct me if I'm wrong, but $10. They're definitely cheaper than Team Transport Hot Wheels. They're definitely more, cheaper than that, and they're cheaper made too. To be fair, they're not these pieces right here. I guess the what is this called? I don't even know. The trailers. The trailers are pretty low quality, and they can break pretty easily. So that's another thing. Let's take a look at the motorcycles. So I'm not really a bikes person, but these are pretty cool. I like how they're all licensed. Licensed in terms of the decos. So this is... It doesn't look like it's the same bike. Is it the same bike over and over again? No, it's not. But they... Oh, it is. So it's just 2 bikes. So there's a Yamaha and there's a BMW. But they changed the decos to be in each country. So you got a bunch of European countries plus the US. And US, France, and a generic one. That's interesting. That's a good way to kind of, you know, again, give your product a little bit more legitimacy. So I'm into that. I mean, I won't buy it, but it's cool. Okay, the Muscle Machines. So they've been in this game, this Muscle Machines game, for a while, and okay, what I can say, I think that the selection of vehicles here is pretty good. Skyline, Supra, Ferrari F40, Terreno, Countach, those will all sell. I don't know about the Datsun. And then here in the American section, I can tell you that the Fox Body Mustang will go. The Cadillac probably will go. The 454 will definitely sell. I think the Z28 will sell over time. Same with Mustang. I don't know about the 49 pickup, but so that's good at least that they have stuff that will sell here. This is probably a make or break year, I would say, for them with this line, because there's a lot of competitions for these like tuned type of cars. So if this thing doesn't sell and you've really kind of gone all out here, I think you need to probably reevaluate if you're going to keep going in with this line or not. But at least you pick stuff that could sell in the stores. So let's see. Looking at this oh yeah, I agree. In terms of the Cadillac, looking fantastic. Pink. And pink is always a good shout here. Always a good shout. Okay. Suitor Down Under. What is up? I think you're from Australia, right? Shout out to Australia. 164 work rigs. The JDM box truck. Yeah, that's really cool. Is that going to sell though? Where is this going to sell? That's another thing with some of these products. I don't know, where can you get these products? Where do they sell them? Because I've never seen this on the shelves. Now, and it's not a new line. It's just a new series of these things. Now, I think that this one right here is going to sit like crazy. This one, it's interesting because it's not licensed, which I like, of course. I think that's cool that they're making stuff on their own. But I don't know if that's going to sell. But it's got the Liberty Walk. So is the Liberty Walk branding enough for it to sell? It's a good question. And then you have this grain truck, which, I mean, that looks fine, I guess. Muscle Transport. So these are... We have a version of cars, so we got to make a transport version of it. Everything has to have a trailer. We need to have the trailer. You know, again, a few years ago when in the 2010s when you started seeing these trailers kind of pop up, like they were really cool. It was different. But now it's like every single damn line has to have a trailer, and that trailer has to cost the price to triple. Even if you just want the car, now you have to have this trailer that you might not want, and the cost of it triples. I'm kind of like, damn. Harley Davidson stuff, that's cool. I guess they've had this before. I don't see anything that's new here. 1/12 scale. Wow, that's pretty big. That's pretty damn big. And I can't imagine that's going to be easy to do. 1/18 scale as well. Looks like there's a couple new castings. I'm not a bike person, so I'm going to go past those. I have seen these 1/24 scales before. You are looking at no new castings here. Interesting. Again, I feel like you could just slap on a reverse of this deco, like this 454. You could take where the orange is. Where there's orange, you can make that black, and where there's black, you can make that orange. And you could have a simple, easy recolor right there. And they just, for some reason, just don't do it. I don't know. It can't be that expensive to recolor things. I'm sorry. There's no way. There's just no way. And then, this is cool looking. This 1999 Ford F350 Super Duty pickup. That's pretty cool. I like that. I wonder if that would sell, if that was marketed better. These right here, though, nobody cares. I'm sorry, but nobody cares about these older trucks. Nobody cares. Most people who grew up with these trucks are unfortunately not in this hobby anymore. Probably they're aging out of it. So I don't think you need to I don't think you need to hold on for those anymore. I'm sorry. I just don't think so. I think there's a reason, like, diecast brands, they don't release cars from the 20s into 30s anymore, really. Especially the 20s. Because people aren't around anymore. And now you're starting to get to that point with these. It's time to kind of phase them out. I feel like in the 50s, except for hot rods, with the exception of hot rods, the 50s was kind of when, like, the more modern car kind of started to be built. Like, stuff that's more relevant to today. So I don't know about these right here. Got some more bikes. I'll just go through these. Okay, interesting. Okay, there's Red Bull bikes. So that was what, I guess. No, the bike on the cover was a dirt bike, right? And this is more of a GP racing bike. So it's a little bit different bike, but pretty cool looking bike. And then you have a Ducati. This is smart. I like it. If you're going to get into this, again, go with the stuff that's relevant, especially with motorcycles. Motorcycles are very niche, very, very niche. Cars are much more of a broader audience than motorcycles are. So if you're going to do motorcycles, you need to make them count. Oh, this is the one that was on the cover right here. Okay, 1/6 scale. Damn, 1/6. I get that's a motorcycle, but holy crap, how big is that gonna be? Whew. Holy macaroni. Nothing new there. Looks like just one new bike. Most of these are just carryovers. Again, I'm not a bike person. I'm just gonna go through them. Assembly line. Do people like these? Like, do kids like these? I feel like if I had a kid, I would be like, especially a young kid, I'd be terrified to give them one of these things because there's like so many choking hazards. And I'd rather just get a model kit car than get one of these, honestly. So, yeah, not really into these. These are cool. Okay, it's cool though that at least the ones I did choose, they're either you can build a Ferrari or you can build a car that has some kind of cool factor to it. And then, damn, there's a lot actually. Looks like they've been kind of going hard into this for a while. The Toyota A86 is new. Dark Horse Mustang. Good picks. Oh. This is your... what do they call them? Not slot cars. They kind of have like the winding in them. And you let them go and they just kind of go on their own. I guess that's one of these. I guess this is Maisto's version of that. And they're micro. More micro stuff. I don't really do. You know, as a kid, there used to be like these track sets where these guys would have like these tracks like this, and these like wind up cars would be able to like do them. I always hated those tracks as a kid. Oh, okay. It's time. 3-inch vehicles. They're not calling them 1/64 scale. They're calling them 3-inch vehicles. 100 fresh metal 100 different fresh metal vehicles, hand-picked and assembled into 8 categories so kids can collect all or just their favorite themes. Speed sport, classics, protect and serve, build and deliver, commuters, fantasy, muscle and warriors, bring everything from off-road to futuristic racers. Bold and new exciting packaging, the future of fresh metal is here. Okay, very interesting. I like the fact that they are now defining the amount of cars that are going to be released in this year. You didn't know how many cars before were going to be released in this fresh metal series, but now we have a number, 100. Nice round number, easy to remember. I like that. Easier to collect now as well. So let's go through the castings and see what we got here. So again, a lot of these castings very cheap, you know. Not super well produced. And I'll kind of give you my thoughts on these. So the M3 is back in black. That's a good one. Again, for the amount that you're paying for, it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. What is up, Wow GD player? Hope you're doing great. This is a C8 Corvette Stingray. What I talked about the F40 before, where like all the brands were doing it, the C8 was kind of in that position very recently. And now we have a Corvette C8 ZR1 Coupe. So this is the one casting that I knew about that was coming out, because I saw that when I got notified of the new castings. So the C8 casting is too big. It's got issues with its detailing. It's not a great casting. I'm just going to be honest. It's not a great casting. So let's see if this version can kind of make up for that a little bit. Honda Civic Type R. I have never seen that before. By the way, is there a way I can zoom in on this? Oh, there we go. Beautiful. Okay. That's much better. Okay. 2023 Honda Civic Type R. I feel like this casting is probably going to be too big and too tall. We'll see. But I think that's what I'm going to go and predict. The Huracan is too big. The scale is way too big on it. The Revolto, new color on that. Okay, so they actually point out when there's a new color. I think the Civic might have been in blue, if I'm not mistaken. I think it might have been in blue before. The Lamborghini Revolto in purple, it kind of looks a little cheap. I'm not going to lie, so I'm a little bit skeptical on that one. The Tamario, whatever you call it. Okay, again, let's hope to God that this thing doesn't have the same problem that all the other Lamborghinis have had with the scale issue, but I feel like it's probably going to have the problem. I'm just going to be honest with you. I feel like it's going to have that problem. The Tesoro doesn't have that problem. That's the one exception. I feel like that one is scaled a little bit better, but these two, especially this one here, my God, I'm worried that this thing is going to have the same fate. The Nissan Z is also too big. Plastic on the roof as well. So that one's not a great version. These wheels also don't do it any favors. Porsche 911 GT3, another one that's too big. BRZ, horrible scale. Same thing with the Supra. These two right here, my God, you see these things, they are chunky. You know, you'll have one of these and they'll be as big as a Hot Wheels 4x4. They're humongous. 2021 GT Racer. That is not a casting I like. Not a fantasy casting I like at all. Probably the worst looking GT Racer out there. The Katana Sport. This is very cool. This is very, very cool. I like this casting. It's not trying to do too much, but it fits the proportions that they're going for with this tune look really well. So that's a great one. Is the GT Racer a licensed casting? No, it's not. It's a fantasy casting. All right, classics. So that was what? What was that? Speed and Sport. Okay. Classics. 85 Sport Quattro. Okay, very interesting. They've had Audis before. They've all been modern Audis, though. And they've done it, if I remember right, they've done a pretty decent job with the Audis. They've done better with the Audis than the other ones. So we'll see how that is. This is more of a boxy car. I think they've had the Audi. Oh, I don't know my Audis super well. I don't know if it's an A7. They had a four-door, and they had like a smaller sedan. They had a couple. I think of the A8 maybe they had. So let's see how they do on this one. Chevy Bel Air, that's a good one. Kept that around. I like that one. The 55 Bel Air, that one's okay. It's a little cheap looking at points. C10, yep, that's good to keep around. The 57 Chevy pickup, that one's not too bad. Neither is the Mustang. The Econoline van is nice, so that's a good keep. Again, I wish they just recolored these things. The Ford F-150 pickup's getting a recolor. It had the original one was in orange, so this one's in blue. That's good. Lamborghini Miura. I wish they would have gotten rid of this one. Doesn't look like it's going to happen. VW, I like this one in purple. I think that's a good color. And then the Type 2 bus isn't too bad either. Again, when you're talking about such a low price point, you know, it is what it is. Leadfoot is back again. I wish they recolored it. I think it's a fantasy casting with some charm to it. I do own one. Chunky reminds me of old Maisto, and actually I think Leadfoot is one that's been around for a very, very long time. Probably one of the longest tenured castings that's still around to this day. It doesn't go back to the Tonka days, but it's a cast they've had for a while. Square Buddy. Ooh. Now that is cool. Squared Buddy. It's going to be an orange. It's going to have some rims here that have some chrome on it. And it's next to and this is also exciting, the Slow Rider 64 recolor. I have the burgundy one. This one right here is in green. Beautiful green. Great choice. And then this one in orange? Now we're talking. Now we're talking. This here, these tuned cars have some character to them. These tuned cars, you're not just smushing them. You're really giving them something different. And it's not the total Churro Q style that Hot Wheels is kind of trying to rip off. And so is Mini GT. They're kind of doing tuned cars their own way. They're actually having them have smaller wheels and such here. In these cases, they're kind of doing it their way. I like this. I like this a lot. I think the Square Buddy, hopefully I can find that in the store. That's a good one. That's a big hit for me. And I think that that's going to be a big success. So that's exciting. So that one goes on my I'm excited list. Protect and Serve. Suburban, that one's an awful casting. Horrendous. Way too small. Really awkward looking. Suburbans are supposed to be big vehicles, okay? And this one's just not that. The Murcielago, big issues with the scaling, like I said. We have a new fantasy casting, armored. An armored van, armored truck, type vehicle. I like this. Reminds me a lot of the old Matchbox armored truck that I grew up with from the early 2000s. And actually, the deco looks pretty similar too. I like what they went for here. They went for a Brinks truck that, it's pretty realistic looking, right? And is it something that I'm going to get super excited for? Maybe not, but hey, good little service vehicle to add to the line. I think that's not bad. It looks like the size of this thing will be there. That's good. Emergency services van, whatever, panel van. Pumper's been around, dude. I think Pumper's been around since the Tonka days. Pumper's been around a really long time. I don't understand why we can't just retire this casting already. Rescue, same thing. Rescue's been around a long time too. Really narrow. This is the only metal you're getting is the cab. This whole piece is gonna be plastic. Rescue copter. It's a helicopter. The school bus, they've had that school bus for a long time. It's not broken. You don't need to fix it. Snowplow. Okay. So here's the thing with the snowplow. How is it gonna hold up? How is it when it gets some play wear with the kids? How is it gonna hold up? Because Matchbox's snowplow snapped all the time. And it was a vehicle that looked very much like this. Interesting that it's actually kind of lower to the ground. We'll have to see what the scale ends up looking like. But this is actually a casting that's done. Not all the castings are done. Some of them are like renders to what they're trying to do. This one's done. So we'll see how big it is. Again, a casting like this is going to do better with the more size it has. Tow truck, the worst tow truck in the game. It's back again. And the V7, which is a cool little fantasy coupe that they have. Build and deliver. Excellent Ford Raptor. Really nice. In a gray color. I'd never seen it in gray, so I don't know if that was a recolor, maybe from last year, but that's a nice color for it. Good wheels on this thing, good detailing. This is a good vehicle. Bulldozer, cement mixer gets a recolor. The cherry picker, golly, goodness me, man. This one, again, been around a really long time. Same cab pretty much as the Pumper. And actually, what you can tell with Maisto is they actually release some of these types of like cars kind of around the same time. So you're going to see themes that kind of run through certain castings. Delivery truck is back, dump truck, garbage truck, gas tanker, city lorry. We've got a nice dump truck here. Let's see what the functionality of this thing ends up being like. But nice, I like this. You have good wheels on that thing. Look at those wheels. Very nice. Very nice. Sturdy looking black wheels. Okay, with treads on them. That's nice. Color, really, again, you don't need to do too much. Hopefully this thing has some weight to it. I doubt it. But, and it does, if you see right here, there's a pin. You can barely see it, but there's a pin right there. That is where you will have a function where the dump truck will actually work. So that's a really good ad. I like that. I really like that. Good pick. Steak truck. I mean, who cares about these? Goodness me. Commuters. BMW 1 Series Coupe could use some more details on that thing. They're going to go with the Escalade V. So, you know what's strange? I actually have more faith that... oh, hello. There's my wife saying hi. The Escalade V, what I can say about Maisto with big SUVs that, you know, someone like Matchbox doesn't do right, they actually get the scale of these things okay. Like, they actually give them size. Whereas Matchbox makes them too narrow and too small. Maisto actually gives them more size. So I like that. Let's see how that one comes out. That one looks decent. Ford Focus ST, too big, not a good casting. Ford Transit Connect, too small. This 190E is decent. I don't think it's anything, you know, too special, but it's not bad. I like the Benz. That one's okay. I like how they have a Corolla. That's cool. Taycan, I don't love that one. The ID bus, damn it. You know, actually, I think they'll get the scale of this thing kind of decently correct, but that's not something that really makes me too excited that they're doing that one. Skyrider, still got to get this one. This one looks pretty cool. Or do I have this one? No, I don't. That one's cool, and then I love the recolor on Fantasy. Very cool, very, very cool casting with a lot of character. Okay, next up is Fantasy. This is exciting. Let's see what's the... Oh, wait. Yeah, let's see what's in there. Hopefully there's something that's unique. So Darkbird is a casting from the past. It kind of gives like a Star Wars ship kind of look. These F1 racers are awful. They are lightweight. They're like the same weight as a playing card. I'm not even kidding. They are awful castings. Hyperdrive, I never saw it in person. I know that was in the catalog last year, and I never saw it in person. I think it was new last year. I was hoping it was a replacement for GT Racer, but I haven't seen it. So I need to see it. I think, again, scale is going to be really important there. The Craninator, the MCG 64, that's a pretty cool casting. I haven't seen that one in a long time, but that one's pretty unique. The Rally XTR, I don't really like that one. The School Bust, this is new? This is new? I thought that this thing already existed. I could have sworn this thing already existed in like a blue and red color. Either way, it's a nice recolor, but maybe it is new. Maybe it's a different shape or something. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see what it looks like. Oh, no. They're not really keeping much. Street Speeder, the Taichi Turbo's back, which I like that one a lot. Tire Slayer is still around, and VRT16, which I don't really get to see that casting very often. Damn. I was really hoping for some more fantasy stuff. I mean, I know there's another section still. Muscle. Grand National. The 454 is going in black. That's a good recolor. 2006 Camaro Concept. Interesting choice. I don't hate that. IROC. That one's okay. It's a little big, but it's okay. 55 Corvette is new. Pontiac Firebird, 66 Mustang Fastback. That's not a bad choice. Boss 302, the GTD, the Roadkill is back. I don't know why. In Rosewood. Dang, man. We'll see what the Camaro concept kind of feels like, but you know, if I didn't know it was new, I felt like they already had done this one before. I guess they found a couple gaps with the American cars that they're gonna, patch up here, but nothing that gets me too excited. And then the last, there is a new fantasy casting here. Okay, we're gonna have to look at that. Chevy Colorado, K5 Blazer's really nice. The Ford Bronco's really nice. When they released these Broncos and Blazers, they were really well done. And I was kind of like thinking, oh man, they're really gonna, they're turning the corner here. They're turning the corner. And with the Raptor, but it hasn't really landed with the rest of the line quite so much. The IROC is okay, as I said. So there's definitely some improvements that are coming here. The 454 is nice, but not that hasn't gone to all the casting. So we'll have to kind of see the rest of them. But these actually are pretty nice. If you haven't picked one up, they're worth your time if you like these type of cars. Land Cruiser, interesting. We'll see how that comes out. That's a pretty difficult casting, I feel like, to get right if you're not going to put the time and effort and money into it. So let's see how that comes out. The RAV4, that's what I drive in real life. That's getting a recolor in blue. Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. I think they're going to do a decent job on this, and this thing will probably be a good scale. Coyote XS is back, the Hybrid Talon. Here is our new fantasy truck. We'll come back to the end. Off-road. This is old Tonka casting actually, and they brought it with a recolor into the Maisto mainline. Street Beast is back, and same thing with Trophy Terror. Trophy Terror, if you haven't picked it up, definitely one for a fantasy fan. Check it out. It's a cool casting. Oh, you know what's not in here? Doomrod's not in here. Why is Doomrod not in here? Have you guys seen Doomrod? Doomrod is just beautiful. Oh, this is like my favorite fantasy casting, man. I'm telling you. Oh my god. What a beauty. What a beauty. This is what really got me excited about going through this catalog. I thought I was going to get more castings like this, and it hasn't seemed to happen. Anyways, let's talk about this new casting, MTRK6. It's a 4x4 casting, really cool color. Love this color on this thing. I love the deco. I think that the stance of this thing probably will sit somewhat similar to your typical off-road cars. I wonder how big it is. That's going to be the big key to note here, but really gives me a lot of Mega Duty vibes. Gives me a lot of Mega Duty vibes. So that's something at least to get excited about too. So we have this casting, or for me, I'm excited about this casting, and I'm excited about the Square Buddy, and then I guess with the license stuff, we'll see how it kind of how they execute it all. And then this Quarry Dump, that's gonna be pretty cool. Hopefully they sell those in singles. Hey, Contour Toy Cars, how you doing? Score Bunny, how you doing? Yeah, I agree with your point on Major Red having some casting issues. And then CMDR Cuddles, the wheels do not do these casting any favors. Maisto just needs to invest in some new rims. Well, I would actually say though the biggest problem with the Maisto cars is the scaling, not the not the wheels. The wheels are not good though. That would be the second thing that would need to go. But certainly the scaling is the biggest issue. They need to get that right. Work machines built in play sets. I guess these are kind of like the flip play sets. They look all right. Looks like nothing too new here. You've got a cool Octoblaster playset right here. I like, again, really unique concepts. Hot Wheels, they don't do this at all anymore, pretty much. It's just boring tracks. But this right here has some personality to it. As a kid, especially, that would be something I'd be drawn to. Scorpion's Revenge. Look how cool this looks right here. Look how much fun this would look. And I like the concept. Launcher, loop. This piece is really unique, where it kind of, the car goes up and back, and it goes into the launcher, and then you smack the Scorpion, and the car comes around. What a nice playset, man. That is a nice playset. 3-inch car Formula Racing playset we have here. Wow, look at that. Look how nice that looks. It's you got a downhill race, and then you have a pit crew right here. Look at that, a detailed pit crew. And then the cars come down, and you have a nice little kind of two car race, and then it gets to here, and then you have your winner, and you have a one winner here. That's awesome. That's really nice. Hell yeah. That's really nice. Still got the build-in plays. Build-in plays are nice little cheap sets that they have. And then the launch and loop, pretty much the same looking set as the Scorpion, except that you're doing it off a gravity clamp. And then we have the work machines, which I just don't really care too much about. Anything else here that is worth us talking about? We got the key cars. They're still around. Key cars, you can find some fantasy stuff. The stock car, Slayers. These are some ones I'm kind of familiar with here. There's School Bus again. That makes me think that that was not a new model. Nightcrawler, that's a pretty cool one. One Way I like. So there's some decent ones here for sure. They got a hauler, of course. Got to have a hauler with everything, right? The Alarm Busters, they make sounds. Okay, I guess. And then you have your Power Racers, which they aren't these like maybe 1/43 scale, maybe, or maybe a little bit smaller than that. Looks like they are bringing those back. Again, I don't really collect that stuff. Is there anything else here really worth talking about? I don't think so. Some new highway haulers, good with the Michelin, good with the Goodrich. Those are smart. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So overall, I am disappointed. I would say I am disappointed. I was really hoping we were gonna build on what we saw in the 2025 catalog, and maybe, you know what, let me pull that up. Let me pull up the 2025 catalog and show you guys what I really liked from that catalog. I thought we were gonna build upon that a bit, and that does not seem to have happened. Let's see. Where is the 1/64 scale stuff? I love the catalog though. It makes that like nice flipping noise. That's pretty nice. Okay. I was hoping. We're not seeing the Thunderbird back. That was released last year. That was an exciting casting, something different. I like when they throw something different. This Thunderbird, I think, is the 2000s Thunderbird, right? And having this into line, now that is pretty cool. I like that they did that. And oh wow, did they not release the Cadillac Escalade V in time, and now it's a 2025 new model? You know, I wish we would have seen, where is the Doom Rod? There it is. Them kind of build on that. We're also not going to see the Tornado back either. That's a really cool model. So I don't agree with some of these castings that they cut from the line. Oh yeah, here Off-Road Warrior's not back either. I thought that was a pretty unique casting that they brought out. So those castings are gone, which makes me sad. So overall, I'm not really a fan of this. Do you guys have any thoughts on this Maisto catalog here for 2026? Anything you guys are excited for? I think there's 2 castings I'll be keeping an eye out for, but I think this one's a bit of a wash, and we'll see kind of where they go next year. Maybe I need to do a live stream kind of giving like a whole business plan of what I would do if I was a creative director of Maisto. How would I completely just tear this thing to the studs and rebuild it. And that's why this brand is the most exciting brand for me. If I was a creative director, this is the one I'd want to take over. This is the one, especially the 164, because I think we could do some great things with it. I'll wait for you guys if you guys have any comments, but I'll talk about them in a second here. By the way, before I transition to talk about the Matchbox movie, I do want to say big thank you, guys. We hit 2,000 subscribers overnight last night. That's incredible. Like, it took me about half the time to get from 1 to 2K. Like 1K to get to 1K, it took me like 9 months, and to get to 2K, it's taken me like half the time. So I really appreciate that, guys. The amount of support that I'm getting from you guys, the amount of comments I'm getting on the videos, also the engagement has been really awesome. So I'm super grateful. The next time we're gonna have I guess a special for a subscriber count will be at 2.5K. That's like the next milestone, and it's gonna be a whole like walkthrough of my collecting life, like a Hot Wheels life, 25 years of going through my journey from a kid, and the stories, like the real stories of how I got into collecting, like got into Hot Wheels in the first place, what I used to do with my cars as a kid, and then walking through my whole lifetime, where, you know, time as a kid around, you know, 9-10 years old, where I would trade with my friends, you know, about the times where I switched from being like someone who played with Hot Wheels tracks to somebody who was a collector, the time where I was posting Hot Wheels track videos on YouTube as a kid, and then me getting really into it again, all the ups, all the downs. Like, it's going to be awesome to walk through that. So that's going to be coming at 2.5K, and we're going to talk about some of my favorite castings at different points in my life as well. It's going to be a pretty long video, but it's going to be a pretty sweet video, I think. So that's going to come at 2.5K. And then if you guys haven't, new video came out today around a $100 Hot Wheels challenge at Vintage Toy King in Ocala, Florida. If you haven't checked that video out, definitely, you know, do so and let me know what you guys think of that. It's my first time ever doing a like a IRL kind of video, where I was shopping and stuff. So if you like it, let me know. If it does well, maybe I'll do more. But thank you to Vintage Toy King for allowing me to film in there. Really cool people, and if you're in the Central Florida area, you should definitely go ahead and check out that store, because they have a lot of really cool stuff, and they got great people running that place. Okay, let's talk about this. And I can't believe that this has been flying under the radar as much as it has. The Matchbox movie. So, very interesting that we are getting a Matchbox movie before a Hot Wheels one. Especially the fact that we're getting a Matchbox movie before a Hot Wheels one, and they've been hyping up that a Hot Wheels live action movie is going to be coming out since the Barbie movie came out, which was several years ago at this point. So let's read through this article, and then I'll kind of give my thoughts on what I'm reading here. I've seen some details, but I haven't really got to dive into it. So, Apple Original Films sets new live-action feature Matchbox, starring John Cena, based on Mattel's iconic vehicle toy line. Apple Original Films today announced that it has landed Matchbox, a new live-action feature film from SkizziBenz and Mattel Films that will be directed by Sam Hargrave, with John Cena set for the lead role, and based on the screenplay by David Coggenshaw and Jonathan Troper. I don't know who those people are at the end there. I do know John Cena, of course. Matchbox will be inspired by Mattel's iconic real-world diecast toy vehicle line of the same name. The legendary Matchbox brand was... Okay, we already know about that. The film will be produced by SkizziBenz's David Ellison, Dana Goldberg, and Don Granger for Skydance, and Robbie Brenner for Mattel Films. Matchbox joins the upcoming Apple films produced by Skydance Media, including the high-action genre-bending film The Gorge. I guess there's some other ones here. And then, so we don't really have too much, I guess, to go on this. So I don't think there's anything else that's really worth talking about there. So, okay. So in terms of my thoughts, so Matchbox the movie. Very interesting, first of all, like I said, that we are getting a Matchbox movie before a Hot Wheels one. I don't know how much effort is going into this thing. I mean, it sounds like they had to have started filming already, right? Right? But they make it in the press release seem like they just started filming. The film will be produced. Like, how far are we into this thing? John Cena's in it. I feel like this is going to have, if you guys have watched wrestling, there was a film studio that WWE had, and it was called WWE Films, and they made these notoriously bad movies for a number of years, and they would have WWE wrestlers starring in them. Vince McMahon, the chairman of WWE, he loved them. He loved them. And he really always wanted to get into Hollywood and have WWE be a large filmmaker where then he wouldn't lose his big stars to Hollywood like The Rock did. Like, he would be able to essentially keep them in-house. So he made WWE films, and these movies were just terrible, man. Notoriously bad. And John Cena was in a lot of these movies, especially the original ones. He was in the movie called The Marine a few times, and I feel like this movie right here, the Matchbox movie, from what has been described, is going to feel a lot like The Marine. Now, how much Matchbox is it? What it doesn't? How are you going to implement Matchbox into this? I don't know if I can show it, but I'll just say this. There's already been toys also leaked of this movie. So if you go on Instagram, you go to T Hunted's page, there's actually a box set of Matchbox vehicles that you will be able to buy, and it's a lot of like Toyotas, like off-road Toyotas, trucks, and there's a SUV. So I don't know if there's gonna be real life licensed manufacturers in this as well, but like, what is Matchbox of this movie? What is Matchbox about this movie? Is it just gonna be a live action movie that just has a Matchbox branding in it? That's, to me, what it comes across. I don't know if there's gonna be, how much actual Matchbox is gonna be in here. Also, it sounds like this is going to be only available on Apple TV, so we're not going to see this thing in the theaters. So the amount of effort that's gone into this thing, I can't imagine it being great. And a movie like this that's releasing in the fall, I felt like you probably would have already heard about this movie by this point. I feel like this is quite a late start to get a press run going. Like, you would have already seen trailers maybe about this, especially if you're going into a film. I have not seen a trailer of this movie, so maybe I'll have to do a reaction to that on a live stream upcoming when that finally releases. But I don't have high hopes for this thing. I really don't. I feel like they're pushing this, they're gonna get this thing out as soon as possible, try to have like a kind of little cash grab, and it's going to kind of sit and be forgotten about. That's my worry about this. And again, I don't feel like it's going to be a Matchbox movie. I feel like it's just going to be just another action movie, just another thing where John Cena is a good guy and there's some bad organization that they have to take down or something like that, right? And the fact also that it's based on Matchbox makes me think that it's it's not going to have so much violence in it because it's still associated with a brand that sells toys. So how much violence is going to be in this movie as well? Like, is it going to be almost so watered down that even the action part of the movie, it doesn't even fully go into that? So I think Hot Wheels is a much easier brand to make a movie on than Matchbox is. Matchbox seems very awkward. Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna like show a bunch of cars doing like their daily jobs. Like, you're gonna have a garbage truck, like a getaway car and a garbage truck. Like, what is it gonna be? And also, you don't have like these very iconic Matchbox cars. You just don't have that. Like, what's the most iconic Matchbox fantasy casting or original casting? The field car, you know, like that's not gonna do it. That's just not gonna do it. You're gonna base it around a bunch of licensed vehicles. Well, then it doesn't feel like a Matchbox. Like, it may or may not feel like a Matchbox movie. So I think this is a really hard concept to kind of put together if you're really trying to like give that homage to Matchbox and make it feel like Matchbox. So I just think it's going to be a live action movie that's going to be happening in a lot of different vehicles, licensed vehicles. So maybe if you're into like some of those like more recent Fast and Furious movies where they kind of went away from the car scene and into the more action stuff, this might be kind of up your alley. But this is not something I'm like overly excited for right now. And Anthony Riviera, I'm having the same question as you are as well. Like, I don't know what this is gonna look like. Hopefully a trailer comes out pretty soon. I feel like they kind of need to get one out here shortly in the next month or so. They don't have an actual date where this thing is going to be released. Of course, it's only going to be in Apple TV, so you're not talking about like a large press run for something that's in the theaters. I guess that it's kind of a little bit less. Imagine a joke in the Matchbox movie that mocks Hot Wheels where it references a twin mill or something. Oh my God, please don't. Please, let's not do that. Let's please not do that. Like, it's one of those guys at the Matchbox conventions who's like, Matchbox is always better than Hot Wheels. Remember that. There was a guy in the in one of the in the presentation who was like like a guy in the crowd who like made a comment like that, and I just like rolled my eyes. Like, that was like so cringe. And if you watched one of my last videos, I talked about how I hate brand wars. I think that's some of the dumbest things out there, and that would be an example of that. Okay. Also looks like the Need for Speed movie. Is there a Need for Speed movie? I didn't even know there was a Need for Speed movie. If so, I would have more hopes for that than Matchbox, because at least you have, with Need for Speed, you have something to base it off of, street racing, right? Kind of ordeal. Whereas this, like, what are you basing this off of? I'm glad it's happening, but I don't think it's gonna really, be anything too special, and you're gonna be kind of like, you remember when Matchbox had a movie, or did you know that Matchbox had a movie? And it's gonna be this thing that's gonna be very forgettable. What if it was about a guy who shrinks cars and takes them in his pocket? At least that's a concept. At least that's a concept. I'll give you that. That's at least a concept. He can basically summon vehicles like GTA cheats. I hope that's the way they go, because I feel like that's the only way you're going to get any charm into this movie at all. Alright, guys. I think that's pretty much it. I don't really have much else to say. Definitely thank you guys all for your time this weekend. I hope you guys have a great rest of your weekend and a great upcoming week. Stay tuned for more videos. Certainly going to be releasing quite a few for you guys in the stream here. I'll let you know that next week I will be releasing my top 100 castings of the 2010s. That will be coming out, and then we will see where we're going from there, what kind of videos. So until the next time, though, guys, thank you guys so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I will talk to you guys in the next video. And if you haven't joined the Discord, do so already. There's a link in the channel that you can join and chat some more with the community. All right, guys. Take care, everyone. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye now.